Good afternoon. Welcome to Central, everyone. We're so happy you chose to join us this morning, whether you're here in person or joining us online. A huge, huge welcome. If you're new here or maybe came to see someone you care about be baptized this morning, so this is your first time, just to give you a little idea of what to expect, we'll be together for about an hour this morning. We're going to start off with a couple songs, and all the lyrics will be on the screen, so feel free to participate however you're most comfortable doing so. After that, we're hearing part 2 of a series in a great message series we've been doing called The Way Back. Pastor Bill will be speaking. And then it is a baptism day, which is a really exciting day here at Central. So we'll tell you a little more about what to expect for that after. If you have kids, we have an amazing kids program. There's still time to check them in. My kids absolutely love it. It's safe, it's fun. Head to the orange wall out in the lobby, and our volunteers would love to help your kids get settled this morning. If not, grab a coffee, come grab a seat. We're going to get started in about a minute. Welcome to Central, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to church. We're going to sing some songs. Why don't you stand up and sing with us? When I'm far away, you bring me back with grace. I'm held together, together by your love. Take me by the hand. I'm never looking back. I'm held together, together by your love.
You don't let me down. You won't walk away. You are always there, forever here to stay. I'm held together, together by your love. I'm held together. I'm held together by your
Hey everyone, Bill Markham here with a really exciting opportunity for our church family to impact the next generation. Now, every summer, we hire student interns to come and work alongside of us in fulfilling the big vision and mission we have of reaching kids in the Niagara region. And last year, we were able to hire 4 students because of your incredible generosity, and through their efforts, we were able to impact 130 kids at our day camps and 80 kids in our overnight camp. And so I'm asking you again to consider partnering with us as we want to hire these students to explore their gifts and their callings and help us fulfill our mission. Now, in the past, the government would give us grants to fulfill this role. But unfortunately, because some differences of opinion, that no longer is available to us. And so last year, we appealed to you and you responded with incredible generosity. And so I'm asking you if you would consider again helping us make an impact in the next generation by investing in students and in kids in the Niagara region. And you can do that today by donating in one of our experiences or online, and simply mark "because of you" in the boxes identified there. Thank you so much for your generosity, and thank you so much for believing in this great region and the kids who live in it.
Well, good afternoon. What an amazing opportunity to impact the lives of so many kids across this region. And really, that's our future. It's our future as people and as a church is children. So great opportunity there. I want to say a huge welcome to Central this afternoon. We are so glad you decided to join us, whether you're here in person or joining us online. Welcome this afternoon. My name's Jen. I'm your host this morning. And one thing we really want you to know is here at Central, we're really about 2 big things. The first is introducing people to faith in Jesus. If you're not sure what he's all about, maybe you're here for a baptism this morning and kind of have no idea what's about to happen. That's okay, and we want to introduce you to who Jesus is. And second, no matter where you're at on your faith journey, whether you're having some skeptical moments or whether you've been a believer for a long time and want to continue to grow deeper and deeper in that faith, we want to help you along that journey to continue to do that. So that's what we're about here. If you're new here, we would love to know that you came this morning or this afternoon. There's a blue card right in front of you that says Connect. If you could fill out however much or little information you're comfortable doing, we would love to get a little gift in your hand, say thanks for coming, and just see if there's any way we can better serve you and your family. So you can hand that in at the blue wall right out in the lobby after this experience. If you're not comfortable doing that, totally cool. We have an introvert method as well. You can text the word Connect to the number on the screen, 905-937-5610. And again, love to figure out if we can get you that little gift and see if there's any way that we can serve you as well. And lastly, our online friends, we've not forgotten about you. Click new here and our online host would love to interact with you and see if there's any way we can serve you or get you that gift. So thanks again for being here with us this afternoon. At this time, I'm going to invite our host to come as we give together as a church family. Please feel zero obligation to give if you're not part of this church family yet, or if you're new here. This is something we do as a church family as an act of worship. So no obligation if you're new. If you are a regular giver, the ways to do so are on the screen. And also, if you would like to give above and beyond your regular giving, first, thank you. And again, the way to do that is just write "because of you" if you want to donate towards that intern cause on your envelope, or online you can indicate "because of you," and that money will go towards the interns so we can have these amazing camps coming up soon this summer. Another great way to be connected, and a really important way to be connected here at Central, is through groups. Last week we heard a really amazing message from Pastor Bill about belonging and just what it means to belong and being fully loved and fully known, and how so many people are longing for that. And if you find yourself in that place, or even just you want to find belonging specifically here at Central, groups are the best way to go about doing that. There's all different sizes of groups, some based on interests, some based on where you live, some based on community things. So there is definitely a group for you. I can guarantee that. And we would love to get you connected to one. And actually, this week starts a brand new season of groups. So there's been a little break from them. They're starting up again this week. So it is honestly the perfect time to join, as lots of new people will be coming in. You won't feel out of place at all. If you'd like more info and to look into the different types of groups, since I can't even get into them all here this afternoon, go to centralcc.ca/groups and we can get you connected that way. Or again, you can head to the blue wall out in the lobby, and those friendly volunteers, they know everything. So you can just talk with them and they will make sure you get connected where you need to be. Secondly, for you this afternoon, if you gave it all to the Capital Campaign, you should have received a special invitation for the Future Forward celebration, which is happening tonight at 6 p.m. So you are not going to want to miss that if you received one of those invites. It's going to be an amazing night tonight at 6 p.m. celebrating all that God has done so far through your giving and all that He is still yet to do, anticipating that and believing in that and being excited for that. So please come out at 6 p.m. And lastly, something really big that's coming up for any believer, and you've heard us mention it a few times from stage already, is Easter is right around the corner now, really, just a couple weeks away. Something special we're going to do for the week leading up to Easter is having a week of prayer. Easter is a pivotal, probably the most important moment for any believer and in a lot of people's lives, Jesus' death and resurrection. So we want to really cover that whole weekend and that time leading up in prayer for all that's going to be going on, for the people that are going to be coming out. So I really encourage you to make time, get out your phones or day planner if you have one, and write it down right now. Commit to it in your heart, because it is early, so it's easier to commit now when you're feeling all fresh at 12 p.m. But 6 to 7 a.m. starting Monday the 15th and going right on through to Thursday the 18th from 6 to 7 a.m. So Monday of the Easter week to Thursday, 6 to 7 a.m. out in the cafe. Please join us. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be, God does amazing things and uses that time, even though it is pretty early. Also, that Good Friday, we're going to be having a special traditional Easter service at 10 a.m. So if you're really looking for that traditional experience on Good Friday to really recognize what Christ did for us through His death on the cross, you're going to want to come out 10 a.m. Good Friday, and that's going to be totally separate from our 5 identical Easter celebrations. Those are still happening at 5 and 7 p.m. on Good Friday, and then again on the 21st, the Sunday, at our regular experience times, 9, 10:30, and 12. So make sure you're still asking people to come, praying about the people that will come. And that's all I have for you this morning. We're going to be continuing our series, The Way Back. But first, I want to give you a little sneak peek to what to look forward to for these Easter celebrations. So I'm going to direct your eyes to the screen. Thanks for being here.
Well, good afternoon, Central. How's everybody doing? Are you good? Yeah, thank you so much for being here, especially if you are here to witness or cheer someone on who's being baptized. You picked a really great Sunday to be with us. This is one of the highlights for us in our calendar year, and so thank you. And thank you for all of you watching online as well, from wherever you are. Please let us know where you're watching from. Again, it's just so great to have the hundreds of you from all over the world watching every week. Thank you for that. And if we can serve you, please do not hesitate to interact with the online pastor in the chat window there. And there's a couple of other ways that you can get involved that way. So we want to serve you that way. But today, I don't know what you expected getting up. Actually, the interesting thing about today, I don't know what you believe about God or how he speaks, but I actually believe that there is a God, and I actually believe he speaks. And I really believe this morning, and I wasn't planning on doing this yesterday, but this morning I was woken up really early because I believe that God wants to say something to someone here. And I don't know if it's someone who's watching online right now or someone in this space or maybe many of you, but you've been wrestling with this question of meaning and purpose and wondering what it all means and why you're even here. And here's honestly what I woke up with, an overwhelmingly strong impression. It was so strong, I couldn't shake it, and I knew it was for someone in this place today, and here it is. You matter. You matter. And with that came a whole wave of feelings, of rejection and of pain and of doubt and of fear and anxiety. And I just feel like there's a light that needs to pierce through the darkness, and it's this, that you matter. You matter to God, you matter to this world, and you matter to us. You know, I think this is the message of the Bible. If I were to summarize it from the beginning to the end, from Genesis to Revelation and everything in between, what would God be saying to us through this incredible book? It's that you matter. You always have. Even when you felt insignificant, even when you felt rejected, even when you felt like you weren't contributing, you're wondering why you exist, you have always mattered. And so if nothing else, you needed to hear that today. I believe that's for you, directly from the one who made you. There was a little girl, 8 years old, who lived most of her life in fear. She lived in fear because she had two parents who struggled to make ends meet and turned to alcohol to soothe their pain, and would often turn on her emotionally and sometimes even physically because they couldn't deal with the chaos that was inside of them, and so she lived in fear. This little girl would often hear her parents coming home from their night out and would hide her and her siblings in a closet for fear of what would happen if they crossed paths with their drunken parents. And so they would hold each other in the darkness of that closet until the noise outside subsided, and then this little girl would crawl over the fallen bodies of her parents to find food because they hadn't eaten that day. But one day this little girl had an amazing experience. She was introduced to a community like this. And this community for the first time was able to tell her something she had never heard before, that you matter. All of her life she'd felt rejected, isolated, forgotten. But in that moment she believed something inside of her changed. The hardness of her heart softened, and she believed that there was a God who loved her and that she mattered. And that she mattered to the world, and it started her on a trajectory of change. And it so radically changed her that it in turn changed her whole family. And it changed generations. For this little girl was my mom. And I'm so thankful for someone who had the courage to stand up in a world of chaos, in a world of confusion, who was able to tell her what I'm telling you today. You matter.
You matter to God. So much so that he came into this world and he was willing to die to prove it to you. That's the story of Easter as we move toward the cross in a few weeks. I hope you come back and I hope you bring somebody, because it's a message that this world desperately needs to hear again, that you matter. So we're in a series called The Way. Maybe you're here and you don't feel like you matter. You feel like you've been on the outside. This is the way back. And we're learning that the way back isn't an ideology or a religion. It's a person, and his name is Jesus. And he leads us back into a place called the garden. In the Bible, in Genesis chapter 1, we read, in the beginning, God created. And the question is, why would he do that? And there are many reasons, but I think the greatest is it was an extension of his love, that he simply wanted to create for us to experience what he experiences. And so into a perfect world we were created. And we intuitively know that this is the way the world is supposed to be. When you were a little kid and you drew pictures, remember those naive, optimistic days where you believed the best, you believed everything was possible? You colored, you drew, no one told you could never be an astronaut, and so you landed on the moon, and no one told you unicorns weren't real, and so you rode on them, and no one told you that there aren't rainbows every day, and so you drew them. This was the world that you were created to experience, that you believed in when you were just little, but then somewhere along the line, reality hit you, and the colors started to fade, and the images started to transform, and the darkness found its way into the color. And so into the garden, which is a picture of what the world is supposed to be, a world with no violence, a world with no pain or suffering, no tears. This is the world we were thrust out of into the wilderness. The wilderness of the experience we have now, of war and violence and hatred and prejudice. And into that world, God began to restore us and remind us of what this world could be if we could just see it. And so the first human beings created in this perfect world, he gave a blessing. And here was the blessing, and it's really important for you to understand because it's for you too. To the first human beings, he said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. And we've been learning that in the garden, there were these three things, these three basic needs that I believe every human being is longing for. They were belonging, purpose, and hope. And so last week we learned that belonging is to find a space where you can be fully known and fully loved. And we are to create those kinds of spaces. That's what belonging is. That's what God invites us into. But today I want to talk to you about purpose and what that really means. And so it says God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. So do you know why you're here? I mean, I don't mean right here, right now. Hopefully you know why you're here. That would be trouble if you did. But I mean here in general. Do you know why you exist? Why you were born into this time and space? Why you work where you work and go to school where you go to school and live where you live? Do you know why you've even experienced some of the hardship that you've experienced? This is what I'd like to explore with you, because this is what purpose really is. And the problem with purpose is that this world has lied to you about what it is. This world has told you that purpose is finding your significance in the acclaim of others, right? So your purpose is to become a YouTube sensation and have lots of subscribers and make lots of money. Your purpose in life is to be a superstar, whether it's in athletics or music or in business. Your purpose is to have a beautiful house and to go on exotic vacations. And there's a major flaw in that idea. And the flaw in that idea is that none of those things are lasting. Your house that you live in, the house that you want to live in 60, 70 years from now, no one will want to live in. That money that you're working so hard to save in your bank account so you can give it to your kids, you know what they'll do with it? Spend it all. That's what they're going to do with it. That vacation you went on last time, yeah, it was okay, but now you just can't wait to go on the next one. You see, when you put your purpose into things that don't last and things that rust away and rot and are eaten by the moth. You live a life of frustration because it's not purpose. And God stepped into this reality and said, actually, the true purpose is to fill the earth and to subdue it. And I thought to myself, okay, but what does that mean? Great question. Fill the earth. That word in the original language means actually, the better word would probably be to fulfill, to accomplish something, that there was something full of potential and promise that needed to be done, and you and I were invited to fulfill that purpose. Or to put it another way, here was what purpose was. It was redeeming the potential around you. Now, I know when you look around you, you probably don't see a lot of potential, right? Maybe you cheer for the Maple Leafs, or you like country music, or you like cats. In any case, life has not worked out the way you'd hoped. Anyway, so you have a hard time seeing potential. Or maybe you, like me, you watch the news, and I don't watch it much anymore because it's just so depressing. And I listen to what people talk about, and it's depressing. And I see the world that's been created and shoved in front of us. And it's a world of chaos and confusion. And yet, God steps into our reality, into our pain, and says, actually, I'm going to give you a perspective. You get a choice. You're not without power, and you can choose what you see. You can see it as broken or as the potential to redeem it, restore it, rebuild it, for it to be back to the way it was supposed to be. And then he said, subdue it. Again, this word in the proper English is dominion, or to have power over, but not power for self, because we have proven in human history, haven't we, that we're not very good with power. As a matter of fact, if you give someone power, it tends to corrupt them. So it wasn't a power for self, but rather a power to transform. And so the second definition in this word subdue was purpose is using your power to bring order to chaos. So here's an interesting question. Is your life chaos or order? And are you a part of the chaos or a part of restoring the order? For this is your purpose in life, to see what could be, to see possibility and potential, to see the world the way God intended it to be, and to do everything within your power to bring that about. And so we've made it so complicated, but I actually think it's really simple. Do you know what I think purpose is? Here's what I think it is. It's simply seeing a need, filling it, and in so doing, bringing order to someone's chaos. Imagine what would happen if every one of us in this room just made a concerted effort to look with new eyes at the world and to see what could be. We can't do everything, but we can all do something. And what would it look like if we determined purpose to bring order everywhere we went, into our families, into our workplaces, into the lineup at Tim Hortons, driving on the QEW? What would it look like to bring order and beauty back into a world that's filled with chaos? And so I think it's even simpler than that. It's just the fact that purpose is knowing that someone is waiting for you. Let me explain what I mean by that. On CNN, they have a Heroes Award, and this year they had a lot of heroes, and you can go online and watch the full video and get the full story, but I just wanted to highlight 4 people who've made a decision to understand that there's something that they can do. They may not be able to do everything, but they can do something. The first hero that I came across was Doc Henley. And Doc Henley was a bartender. And most of his life, that's what he did. He went to work and he lived his life. But he came across some information that transformed him. And what he learned was that there are children in this world who are dying simply because they do not have access to clean water. And so he was overwhelmed by the problem. He was overwhelmed by the fact that more children die because of that than HIV, AIDS, and tuberculosis combined. And he said, I've got to do something, but he didn't know what to do. So he did what he knew how to do. He invited all of his friends and family, and he served them and started a campaign called Turning Wine into Water. And through the money that he raised, he began an organization that now has given clean drinking water in some of the most war-torn, difficult areas all around the world. He saw a need, and he decided to do something about it. I also came across the story of Pushpa Besnet from Nepal, who was a student in social work, and as a part of her university project, went into a prison to observe the society and the social structure in that prison, and to her horror discovered that in Nepal, if a parent is incarcerated and they have no one to take care of their children are put into prison with them. She was shocked to see hundreds of kids in prison. And so moved by this, she decided to do something. And so she started an early childhood development center in the prison. And then through support and awareness was able to buy a home so that these children could visit their parents but didn't have to live behind bars. That they could begin to break the cycle and get an education and find freedom. I read the story of Akai Ra, which was a Cambodian man who as a child was forced into the army. He was a child soldier. And when the Khmer Rouge were sweeping through Cambodia, killing millions of people, his task was to set landmines. Many of those landmines still exist today. Actually, when I was there just a little while ago, we saw warnings all over not to walk into fields. There are still people who are losing arms and limbs and their lives as a result of these landmines that were planted during the revolution. And so after the fall of the Khmer Rouge, he was so guilt-ridden by the fact that he'd laid thousands of mines and was causing devastation throughout his nation, he decided to do something. He didn't know what else to do, but he did know how to diffuse these. And so just him by himself and a knife, he began to go through the country and diffuse bombs everywhere he went, teaching others to do the same. And in his journey, he came across children who had lost limbs simply because they chased a soccer ball into a field that was laden with mines, or families that had been blown apart because of this destructive power. And so he started an orphanage. He saw a need, and he filled it. He brought order to chaos. I came across the story of Betty Makoni from Zimbabwe, who, when she was only 6 years old, was sexually abused because of the myth that if you take advantage of an innocent child, it will cure you of AIDS. And then when she was 9 years old, she was forced to watch as her mother was also abused and murdered in front of her. For most of us, the chaos of that situation would crush us, it would destroy us. There would be no coming back. The trauma would be too great, but she decided to do something positive to bring order to the chaos that was her world. And so she started an organization to rescue other girls like her. And to date, they have been able to rescue 35,000 children from the same fate that she experienced. You see, purpose is not complicated. Purpose isn't something you wait to land in front of you. Purpose is simply seeing a need and being moved by compassion. You want to see why Jesus did miracles? You want to know why he did it? You've got to read the story again. It was because he was moved by compassion. As I read the stories again of Jesus, I even come to the realization that sometimes he wasn't planning on healing somebody. But because they tugged on him or they yelled out at him, cried out for mercy, moved by compassion, he would heal them, restore them, believe in them. See, the reason that we follow Jesus is because in a world of chaos, he is the perfect example of what it looks like to be love with skin on, to live in purpose, to understand why you're on this planet, to not let anything distract you or push you away from that purpose. And so, for Jesus, he came into this world, and when he saw needs, he filled them. And sometimes they seem trivial, like a wedding party that ran out of wine, or a bunch of people who couldn't get a lunch together. And other times it was really significant, like a boy so tormented by his illness that he was thrown into the fire, or a child who was dead, or a man who could not see. But he went beyond even that into the deepest part of who we are as human beings. And he spoke back into the reality of what we were created for, belonging and purpose and hope. For those things on the outside are important and we need to address them, but there's a deeper root issue. For the external trouble and chaos that we see is simply a mirror, a reflection of our own heart that is broken. Jesus would say things like, out of the heart the mouth speaks. You think the corruption is outside of you, but it's inside of you. And so he began to address the chaos inside of us. And this is the whole point of death and resurrection. That the things that destroy us must be destroyed, so that the things that give us life can come back to life. And so Jesus was willing to go to those who needed him, because he understood purpose was the reality that someone was waiting for him, and that someone was you and I. So can I ask you a question? Who is waiting for you? Who is waiting for you to see the need and step up? To open your eyes and to soften your heart and to mobilize your feet and hands? Who is waiting for you? And you say, I don't know anyone, I don't see anyone. Then just ask God to show you, because they're all around you. It's in the whimper of your child when they simply need to know that they're loved and they're okay. It's in the coworker who, in a moment of vulnerability, decides to share something deep and intimate and broken inside of them. It's in the person you drive past on the street with a sign. It's in your partner who is struggling with a deep battle, a deep darkness. It's in a stranger across the sea who you hear through the incredible media or technology could simply use someone to come alongside and give them some help. It's simply in having the heart of God for this world. That's why Jesus, before he left, said in Acts chapter 1, verse 8, you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. What did he mean by that? He meant that you are the one who can make a difference in this world. You have purpose. And regardless of how you woke up this morning, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what someone has told you, you are not a failure. You are not worthless. You are not here by some accident. You are here on purpose, that God brought you into this space today to hear this message that you matter. And there's someone waiting for you to step into your purpose, to bring order to their chaos. And I understand that maybe you're here and you say, but the chaos inside of me is too great. How can I help anyone else? Well, this is the great news, that today you can receive this. You will receive. It's something you get. It's a gift. You can simply ask, God, would you bring order to my chaos? And I believe this with everything inside of me. He is willing and able and will do that for you today. It's what we're about to celebrate in a few moments in baptism. But also, I think that when you've experienced that, it is to take responsibility and to do whatever you can to restore God's beauty, to redeem the world by transforming people's thinking and their hearts with this powerful truth. You'll be a witness of what? The fact that you matter to God, you matter to this world, and you matter to me. I think we can all agree that if we were to live in this state, it would make the world a better place. If we were all willing to take responsibility tomorrow and say, God, show me where there are broken hearts and minds, and show me what I can do. I may not be able to do everything, but I can do something. I think this world would be the place more like he intended it to be. And so, my question for you is this: where are you supposed to be, and who is waiting for you there? And are you willing today to live in your purpose? It doesn't matter if you have an education or not. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter who likes you. It doesn't matter. None of those things matter. Those are all outside of you. It's simply when you say, I know that I'm here because God loves me and has called me to make this world the place he dreams it could be. So this morning, you came on a great day. You came on a great day because I believe that God wanted you to hear that you matter and that there's someone waiting for you. But I also believe you came on a great morning because we're going to celebrate now in water baptism. And this really reflects everything I've been talking about. In just a moment, you're going to see people who've made this decision go into the water. And here's what's happening, just so you know. It's more for us than a religious ritual. It's more for us than some dogmatic statement of faith that we feel we have to conform to. No, for us, this is a declaration of something that's happened inside of us. That as we step into the water, we want you to know that we have made a decision to follow Jesus. We've made the decision to follow in his way back into purpose. We've received it. We didn't earn it. There's nothing we could do to gain it, but he gave it freely and we've received it. And then as we go into that water, we're going to go under the water. And this is the beautiful part, that in order for life, sometimes there needs to be death. That by identifying with Jesus in his death, we are saying, I'm dying to my old way of thinking. I'm dying. I want to die to the old me, the old person who lived in bondage and in chaos. I want to die, and I accept the fact that Jesus died so I could be something different, something new, a new creation. And as they come up out of that water, you're going to hear us celebrate and cheer. Maybe you've never been in a church like this before. Maybe this is your first time. It's going to get really rowdy, especially in the noon experience. You guys are the rowdiest. I'm just letting you know that. But we do that because it's a celebration of new life. It's a resurrection into something new, something better, into belonging again, that I belong to God. And he loved me so much that he's willing to die for me. And into purpose, I have a mission that everyone would know the message, the thing that I've experienced inside of me. I want everyone else to know that too, and to live in hope. That even when darkness comes, and there will still be dark days, and they aren't going to come out perfect. But when I face the darkness, I have hope that God is bringing all things, restoring all things, and making all things new. And he's doing that in me. And so today, I'm going to invite you in just a moment after I pray to stand. If you like, you're welcome to come and rush the front of the stage. If there's someone here that you know, or you just like to do that, whatever works for you, you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to dance and to sing and to celebrate, because this is a party. It's a party of purpose, that those of us who are lost in the wilderness of chaos have found our way back into God's garden of purpose and hope. This is why we celebrate. And so God, thank you for this reminder. I just know that somebody in this space needed to be reminded that they matter. And I believe that even right now, you're doing something in the hearts and minds of people. And as we are now about to transition into celebrating what you've done in the lives of our family and our friends, we celebrate with them. We acknowledge and recognize that you're doing something really powerful and deep inside of them. And with them, we celebrate. We celebrate that, yes, they are dying to the old things, the old ways of thinking, and they're coming up into something new, a new vision, a new purpose, a new life. And so we celebrate with them. And in response, there's our desire that all would know in the Niagara region, around the world, that there's a God who gives us purpose. And we can receive it, because the true transformation has to happen inside of us before we can do anything outside of us. And so God, we thank you for what you're doing in this place right now. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So why don't you stand? Why don't you come to the front? Why don't you cheer, take pictures? If you'd like to get baptized, just join the line. We'll baptize you right now, but it's going to be a party in here as we baptize.
Here in my heart, you have found your place.
is nowhere, you came to my rescue. From the grave I've been raised. When I needed a savior to save me, Jesus, you made a way. I was blind, but these eyes have been opened. Now I walk in the light. Every step on this road I will follow. Jesus, you made a way. You are the way. You are the way. Lost and dead, but your love came to find me. Jesus, you are the way. You are the way. You are the way. You're the light shining bright in the darkness. Jesus, you are the way. Oh, Jesus, the only way.
All my days are secure in your promise, never standing alone. You're the truth, you're the life, you're my future. Jesus, you made a way.
I'm alive in the love that you give me, free to dance once again.
You will lead me from glory to glory. Jesus, you are the way.
Come on, sing it out. You are the way. You are the way. Lost and dead, but your love came to find me. Jesus, you are the way. Oh, Jesus, the only way. Jesus, you are the way. You are the way. You are the way. Lost and dead, but your love came to find me. Jesus, you are the way. You are the way. Lost and dead, but your love came to find me. Jesus, you are the way. One thing I'm asking, one thing I'm needing, a moment that's passing, it's not what I'm seeking, like a is the air I'm breathing. I want your presence, feet on the earth. Come on! Heart full of heaven, feel for you. Completely consumes me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. Your fire burning right through me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. Your spirit, more than a feeling. I don't need the reason to keep chasing who you are. Like it's the air I'm breathing. I want your presence, feet on the earth. Heart full of heaven, feel for you. Completely consumes me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. Your fire burning right through me. I can't get enough, I can't get enough of you. Can't get enough of you. Can't get enough of you. Let's sing it out. Every beat is yours. Here we go. Every beat is yours, you can have it all. Take over like only you can. All I'm reaching for, you and nothing more. Take over like only you can. Every beat is yours, you can have it all. Take over like only you can. All I'm reaching for, you and nothing more. Take over like only you can.
The joy that is following Jesus. And maybe this is kind of your first experience and you think, man, these people are crazy. Actually, we're completely sane because we've said no to the insanity of the world and its lies and said yes to a better way, a way of following Jesus. And maybe you're here and you're like, man, what is with them? I want to know more. We'd love to talk to you about that. If you're watching online, just interact with our online pastor. If you're here, please do not leave before you talk to the person who brought you or the person who was baptized. Or if you're here by yourself, you can go to the great big blue wall and say, what's this all about? We'd love to introduce you to the way back into who you were created to be. And so I bless you. I bless you with the truth that you were created with purpose. You're not a mistake. You're not an accident. You're not an afterthought, and you're not a reject. The truth is that God built you with possibility and potential. And so today you can receive it by simply asking Him to show you who He is and who you are. And then I bless you with the reality, if you've experienced that our task is to bring order to the chaos. Let us stop being a part of the chaos and instead living in our purpose of belonging and restoration with this amazing message. So this is the message you leave with everywhere you go. Don't always use your words, but in your actions, your thoughts, is this: you matter to God, you matter to this world, and you matter to me. That I bless you with in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
When night has fallen, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength.